In this video, I'm going to go over the Photoshop actions that I use all the time to simplify and speed up my editing workflow. Now, if you're new to Photoshop actions, they are located here in the Actions panel. And if you don't see the Actions panel in your Photoshop workspace, just go to Window and click Actions. So what actions allow you to do is to automate tasks that you commonly do in Photoshop, and that's going to save you a ton of time and make the editing process much more enjoyable and streamlined. Actions can be used for simple tasks such as creating a curves layer, and they can be used for more complex multi-step procedures such as taking a stack of images and then combining them to make star trails. Photoshop actions are created by recording a series of steps and then saving them for repeated use. They can be executed with a single click in button mode, and you can assign keyboard shortcuts to execute actions as well. So these are the actions that I created myself, and we're going to go through them all in this video. I will include timestamps in this video for each action as well for your reference, just in case you want to revisit a specific action that we go over today. Also, my entire set of actions is available for you to purchase and download on my website, cjmichaels.com, if you're interested in using them for yourself and you don't want to take all the time necessary to create them on your own. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first action is auto curves. So if I was to create a new curves layer, then click on this menu here, then auto options, you can see there are 4 different algorithms that will impact the image in different ways. This can be very useful in editing, but I don't like having to click through all those menus and everything. So with my auto curves action, if I go ahead and click and run the action, you'll see it created 4 separate curves layers, and all of them have the visibility turned off initially. Now each one of these layers has a different curves algorithm that will impact the image's color and contrast in different ways. So what I do is just go through them and toggle them on and off and see if I want to use any of them. And let's say for this image that I like this one. So what I will do is just select the ones that I don't want to use, and I'll press delete and get rid of those. And just like with any other adjustment layer, I can use the layer mask to show or hide the effect in certain areas, or I can adjust the opacity or the blend mode if I want, or I can further modify the curve itself. And if we turn the layer on and off, you can see that just that one adjustment has given the image a lot more pop. And here's one more example image. This time I'll use the keyboard shortcut F1 that I set to execute the action. And we can toggle these layers on and off. And let's say I like this first one, but the effect is a little too strong for me. I can go ahead and bring the opacity down a bit. There we go. Now I will generally use this action after I make my initial raw adjustments, but sometimes I play around with using it during other steps in my workflow as well. And for some images, I decide not to use it at all, but I typically at least try it out for pretty much every image that I edit, and I found it to be very useful. The next action is curves with the light mask, and this adds a curves layer with a luminosity mask that targets the lighter tones of the image. So if I run the action, you can see here that we have that curves layer with its luminosity mask. And all I have to do is modify the curve to impact those lighter tones. Now, if I want to view the mask, I can just hold the Option key and click the mask. And if I want to modify the mask and make it more or less restrictive, I can just hit Command M to bring up a curves adjustment. Command M, that's the same thing as clicking Image, then Adjustment, then Curves. So since we currently have the mask selected, this curves adjustment will only modify the mask itself. I could then use the curve to make the mask more or less restrictive if I'm targeting certain areas of the image. And I can also select the brush tool if I want by hitting B on the keyboard, and then just use that brush to modify the mask as well. The next action is curves with a midtone mask, It's the same as the previous action, except that instead of a luminosity mask targeting the lighter tones of the image, it adds a luminosity mask that targets the midtones. So let's go ahead and run the action. So now we have that curves layer with the midtone mask. And here's what the mask looks like for this image. Of course, I can modify the mask if I want, like I showed in the previous action. And a lot of times I will use this type of adjustment to increase contrast while still retaining shadow and highlight information. And we'll go pretty heavy-handed on this just to illustrate. It really adds a lot of contrast here. Alright, the next action is curves with a dark mask. And as you can probably guess, this adds a curves layer with a luminosity mask that targets the darker tones of the image. And we'll go ahead and run the action. Now we have our new layer. And we can take a quick look at the mask. And of course we can modify the mask to our liking. And then we can move the curve around to make an adjustment. Alright, so next we have an action called Curves with Sky Mask. And this action uses Photoshop's Select Sky option. So it's not perfect all the time, but I still find it to be useful. So if we click on the action to run it, you'll see that we now have a curves layer with a sky mask applied to it. We can then use the curve to make any adjustments. And if we look at the mask, we can see it's not perfect. We still have some snow and mountains selected. So if I was doing a real edit, I'd want to spend some time refining this mask to get it more accurate. And our last curves action here is curves with a MinusSky mask. So this action will create a curves layer with a sky mask that's been inverted in case you want to target everything but the sky. Yeah, I find myself wanting to do that sometimes. So if we go ahead and run the action, you can see we have our new layer. And we can go ahead and make some changes to the curve. Now taking a look at the mask, once again it's not perfect, so I'd want to take a minute to refine it if I was doing a real edit. But since I'm not, let's go ahead and delete this layer and move on to the next action. Alright, so I went ahead and loaded up a new photo. So the next action is for dodging or brightening areas of the image. And here we have the action called Dodge with Light Mask. Let me go ahead and run the action. So this action adds a new layer with the blend mode set to soft light. The brush tool becomes selected and the color set to white. And the layer also has a luminosity mask targeting the lighter tones of the image, which of course can be refined further if you want. So basically you can just click the action and then start dodging with the brush. What I like to do, however, is I'll option click the area of the image that I want to brighten in order to sample that color. And then I will select a brighter version of that color here on the color window. And then I'll start dodging with the brush. Oftentimes I'll lower the opacity of the brush to make the effect more subtle. But for this video, I'm going heavy-handed so you can see the effect better. The dodge action here does the same thing, except it doesn't have any luminosity mask attached to it, so it'll impact the entire image. Let's go ahead and run the action. And then if there are certain areas that I want to brighten, I can go ahead and do that. Alright, that's a little bit too much. Let me go ahead and lower the opacity of the brush. There we go, that's a little bit better. So next we have an action called Burn with Dark Mask, and it's used to darken areas of the image. So this is basically the opposite of the Dodge with Light Mask. Let's go ahead and run the action. And this action adds a new layer. The blend mode is set to soft light. The brush tool is selected, and the color is set to black. And the layer has a luminosity layer mask that is targeting the darker tones of the image. And you can use the brush to selectively darken different parts of the image. And of course you can modify the brush opacity if you want. The next action is just called burn, and it is the same thing except there is no luminosity mask. I use this a lot to vignette my images, but it can be useful for darkening other areas as well. Alright, so the next action is called clean up, and I use this when I'm removing distractions or other elements from photos. So if I go ahead and run the action, it creates a new layer, and the spot healing brush is selected. Now sometimes I will use the object removal tool or the clone stamp tool on this layer as well, but initially I have it set to the spot healing brush. And just as an example, let's say I wanted to remove this stick right here. I can just brush over it, no problem. So my next action is called glow, and it'll give images a glow effect. And it's important to note that this action merges all visible layers together into a new layer. So if you make changes to your underlying layers after running this action, those changes may not be visible. So normally I use this action towards the end of my workflow, after I've made my other edits and resized the image for either posting online or for making a print or for whatever the final output of the image will be. So if I go ahead and run the action, you can see that we have a new smart object layer with a couple of smart filters. So one benefit of smart filters is that we can go back in and modify the effects if we want. So we could change the amount of blur applied, or we could jump in the camera raw filter, modify the color temperature if we want to give the glow some more warmth, for example. And also the opacity comes set at 30% when running this action, and that may be too strong or too weak depending on what you're going for. And I haven't gone over these replace mask actions yet, but they can also be used to quickly apply a luminosity mask to the glow layer if you want that glow layer to be targeted to certain tones. So the next action is sharpen, and in case you haven't guessed it, it sharpens the image. So I generally use this action at the end of my workflow. Now when running the action, it merges all visible layers into a new layer as part of the action. So if you make changes to your underlying layers after running this action, those changes may not be visible. And I'll go ahead and run the action. And you can see that we have a new smart object layer with a camera raw filter. Let's zoom in to 100% and see the effect a little bit better. And I'll go ahead and turn the layer off and then back on. You can see that it adds a lot of sharpening, so you may want to reduce the opacity here. And if you want to replace that all white layer mask with a luminosity mask, you can do that using the actions that we'll talk about next. So we'll go ahead and talk about these next 6 actions together. As you can see, there are 3 replace mask actions and 3 add mask actions, and they are all used to apply either a light, midtone, or dark luminosity mask. The replace mask actions will work on layers that already have a layer mask. You are replacing the mask that's already there. Now if there is no layer mask, then the add mask actions will add a mask. Let me go ahead and show you. So I'm going to go ahead and run the glow action, and I'll crank up the opacity just for demonstration purposes. And as you can see, it has an all white layer mask currently. Well, if I want that glow targeted to lighter tones, I can click replace mask with light, or I can quickly replace that luminosity mask with one that targets the midtones by clicking this action, or I can target the darker tones as well. Now let me go ahead and delete the layer mask altogether. Since this layer now doesn't have a layer mask, if I want to add a luminosity mask, I won't use the replace action since there's no mask to replace. I'll need to go ahead and use the add mask option instead. So these replace mask actions and add mask actions can be used on any layer. I'm just using this glow layer as an example. So the rest of my actions are for Startrails and landscape astrophotography. So I have a stack of images here that I captured during a time lapse. There are 171 images total here, and I exported these as JPEGs just to speed up processing time, because using full resolution RAW files can take a good chunk of time to process. And in this other tab here, I have another stack of 100 images shot during a time lapse as well. Now these bottom two actions here are actually a combination of the other star trail actions. So I'm going to show you these bottom two actions and I'll explain what the other actions are doing. And as you can see, some of the actions are for stacks of images that are 50 to 149 images in size, and others are for stacks of photos of 150 or more images. So let's start with this stack here. Since it includes 171 photos, I'm going to choose this bottom action and go ahead and run it. Now this can take a while for Photoshop to process, especially when using high resolution RAW files, so you may want to step back for a break after running this action. But after it's complete, you can see that we are left with 4 layers. The first layer is normal star trails, and this is the only layer you'd get if you only ran this normal star trails action by itself. We'll go ahead and hide that layer. This next layer is what you'd get if you ran the star trails tapered action by itself. So this makes the stars look pretty cool in my opinion. And the next layer is the same thing, except the direction of the stars is reversed. This is the only layer that you'd get if you ran the star trails tapered reversed action by itself. And then the fourth layer is a noise reduction layer. And this is the only layer you'd get if you ran the noise reduction from stack action by itself. So by running the star trails plus NR action, you get all 4 of these layers, and then you can kind of decide which ones you want to use for your edit. And let's go ahead and run the star trails plus NR action for the other stack of images. Since this is a stack of 100 photos, I'll use this action here for 50 to 149 images. And after a minute or two, I have these 4 layers here. We have the normal star trails. We have the tapered star trails. We have the tapered star trails reversed. And we have a nice clean noise reduction layer that we can use for blending. Pretty cool stuff. Alright, well, I hope this walkthrough of my Photoshop actions was useful for you. So using these actions has greatly improved my editing workflow. It's made it much better and faster and just more enjoyable overall to edit. So let me know if you have any questions about any of this stuff. And if you're interested in getting these same actions to use for yourself, they are available to purchase and download on my website, zjmichaels.com. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. I also have a Sandmark discount code in the video description if you are interested in that as well. Alright, well that's it for now. I'll see you next time.